Yurt? Shout out to Sil. I'm gonna just say shout out to Sil right now, bro. Real ass one for that, bro. Not gonna lie. All right, we're gonna get it started right now. My buddy Mike and a couple of other friends are starting a producer collective, and I said I'd play one of their beats. So this is my buddy Mike's beat. Hope y'all enjoy. Let's start this off with a nice, cool little vibe. That's crazy. That's crazy. Somebody spam my YouTube chat. Why is it broke? That YouTube chat broken as hell. Literally. No way. It's cool. It's cool. We'll figure it out. If anybody wants to spit on this, let me know. I could probably get you it. Cool little vibe, like I said. Episode 18. The sewer sequence. Slam poetry on this would be hard, bro. Right though? I think it's a cool example for a little of what I'm going to talk about tonight too. That, like I said before, was a beat my friend Mike made, starting a collective. If y'all want to spit on that, let me know. Can connect you with him really easily. He's in the Discord too, so he'll probably see it. Second song I'm gonna play. Discord's trying to set me up for failure tonight, not gonna lie. Second song I'm gonna play in honor of it being November is My Fault by Sewerperson off of Dystopia.
It's looking good. This remind me of winter. Growing up was like terror. Heartbroken in this shower. I'm sorry I got a temper. Spring my words like pepper. Really it's not too close. After all it's November. Buddy on verb. It's
After all it's
sideways
November.
in the bitch. I'm too turned. Lesson learned. I can't handle all this shit. I might turn. I might yag. I might drain all of my kids. Open their mouth. See like gold. I've been waiting on this shit. Bitch, slow it down. Yeah. I'm a fool. I'm a clown. Wonder if God is seeing my progress. Going from there versus now. Packing this batch, bro. There's a party foul. Get it out. It's not in my bond where I get shit is now. Toxic. Bitch, I'm way too toxic. It's obvious I like you, but fuck it. I fucked it. I poured out my heart. And you see and ignored it. Baby, you so gorgeous. But that shit make you ugly. And I promise you. This remind me of winter. Growing up was like terror. This remind me of winter. Growing up was like terror. Heartbroken in December. I'm sorry I got a temper. Spring my words like pepper. Really it's not too close. After all it's November, yeah. After all it's November. After all this November, yeah. After all this November. After all this November.
Yeah. It's only right, you know. It was only right that I started this off the only way that it should have started off, bro. Let me turn my... Oh, we're good on Discord. We're all good. Happy first episode of November. This is episode 18. Welcome back to Conversations in the Sewer. This is the podcast from the people who built the community for those who live in it. Tonight, we've had a lot of episodes where we're breaking down stuff and monologues, and last week it was just me talking to y'all. It's going to be like that again. Tonight, I want to give y'all a clean map for the music that we've been living with together for these last 18 weeks. Well, last 17, this week 18. I am calling it the sewer sequence. It's three simple moves, three simple moods, three simple motifs that show up again and again in this world. Confession, distance, and return. That's it. There's no studio myth. There's no plug-in worship or a secret society making this music happen. It's just the shape that makes all of these songs land. I'm going to talk plainly, reference some records that we all know that we've done breakdowns on, and stitch it to the way that we've been doing these episodes from the start. Lyrics, process, and then little human beats in between. So get comfortable, because we're going to keep the lights low and the signal frequency high. Starting off, as always, I want to read through community submissions. But before that, I need to remind artists out there that are possibly watching this, we do music submissions. There is an artist submission link in the description of every single podcast episode on this channel. Please submit your music, whether you made the beat, background vocals, you're the artist himself. I don't care. I need music because I have an ultimate goal of throwing a Discord festival that showcases how talented this scene is, not just Miles himself. Please submit music. I will put you in one of our intro and outro playlists. I promise you. All of you who have submitted music, the couple of you who have, that haven't had it played yet, I promise you, I will play it. I have a goal with this. Sil Heber, y'all know where I'm going with it. I have an idea of where I'm going with it. Hopefully we can get it done. All right. This week's question of the week, before I read this back so y'all can think about it, is going to be, what makes an underground track instantly recognizable? The voice, the beat, or the feeling? While y'all think about that, I'll go back to it in the end of this. Let's get to the answer from last week, and I believe there's a submission from the week before too about the other lands. Last week's question was, which underground producer makes you stop and rewind every time? And the other lands question was, if you could step into the other lands for one day, what do you think you would find? So, if this works correctly, boom. Sewer Prophet gave us a late submission for the other lands question. It's only right because he did the breakdown on the album. I did say I wasn't going to revisit, but it's only right. You know, he gave us the insight on his brain. So here we are. I'm so sad I didn't get to answer the question of the week for my own episode. So I shall answer it now at the last minute. If I could step into the other lands for one day, what do I think I would find? Assuming I could visit for a day and return home without consequence, then I would like to know when it is I am visiting. Before the invasion of the Mimics, during the invasion, or after they invaded and are heading to Earth. Each one has its own perks. If I were to visit before the invasion, he's about to cook with this, bro. He's about to cook with this. If I were to visit before the invasion, I would love to know how technology advanced the other lands' inhabitants are. How technologically advanced the other lands' inhabitants are. There's never any true indicator of the technology of the other lands. We know there are Victorian built houses, which could give us an idea of the advancement of tools and such based on architecture in our world. Although this only accounts for the setting of Chapter 6 long name, a botched heist of the Lezerith Midsummer Residence, of a Midsummer Lezerith residence. I got you. And there's no telling how much time has passed between chapters. Very good point there too. Yo, he's cooking already, bro. Holy crap. Yo, Jessica, thank you for fixing my YouTube chat. Going through health issues, but I'm here. Serenity and I are watching. Yo, shout out to y'all. I hope you feel better soon. There's no telling how much time has passed between chapters. It's also a world of magic, since Mage Light is referenced in Chapter 1 War Boys. So I'd like to learn about how that works. If I'm visiting during the invasion, the lake is something that fascinates me the most in this realm. I want to know why they understand this lake is a problem and continue on like it's not. I want to know the inner workings of the lake and why it feeds. Yo. Cooking, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you for this. This is great. Lastly, if I were to visit while they are invading us on Earth, I'd like to think this wouldn't be just a one-day trip. At this point, the mimics have exhausted the supply of humans in the other lands and have come to Earth for more. But some of us, who were smart enough to see it's coming, Miles warned us of this, devised a plan to sneak through the portal between worlds. While the mimics were coming in, we were going out and set foot upon lands now devoid of human footprint, wiped away by the mimics. The ideal scenario for this world to flourish and rebuild itself through nature and heal from the scars left by humanity. The ideal place for us to start anew. Well, guys, episode's over, bro. He just gave us 3 different scenarios. This was a phenomenal submission for that question, bro. Late or not, I am happy you got it in. I know I said I wouldn't revisit the question, but I'm definitely, if you guys have a question, if you missed an episode and you hear a question in a previous episode that you want to answer, drop a /confess in the Discord, DM the IG page, or comment under the post. I promise you I will say it, because, you know, in instances like this especially, like, I had to say this. I don't read these confessions before I go on stream. I mean, I scan them for profanity and stuff, but this was a very good submission. I like how you broke it down into 3 different timelines that you could drop into. Thank you, bro. Thank you for all your contributions, dude. The episode was phenomenal. I'm pretty sure the community loved it. This submission was phenomenal. Sil says that you're goated and you understood the assignment. Heber says what a goated submission. Like, you know, thank you, bro. Thank you. Moving on from that one, which was the other lands question. This is our first submission. I believe these might be out of order, but it's a submission for last week's question. What underground producer makes you stop and rewind? Basically. First one, funny, is Sil. I think, me personally, something about Eric is the producer who makes me stop and rewind the most. Eric has an unmistakably generational ability to make atmosphere and the concept feel tangible, to make you feel as though you're within the stage. He's so meticulously sculpted. Bro's trying to make me, you know, trip up on my words, bro. Very well said, though. There's countless times when listening to any of his songs that you can look appreciatively at the handiwork in the minutes, in the minutia, bro. How do you say that? And when you begin to notice some of the intricacies. Bro, I thought I made it out the hood, bro. What's going on? And when you begin to notice some of the intricacies within them, you're presented with a completely unmatched level of craftsmanship that is none other than a monument to how much care he puts into what he does. Where Jabari and Scotty bring out Miles' rapping side, and between them have the majority of his most hyped songs. Eric's production enables Miles to manipulate his storytelling capabilities in a multitude of ways. As a direct result of that, when you ask most fans who they want more songs with, Eric is always at the top of that list. Even on his collaborative efforts with Swain, you can see just how well thought out every detail is, and it lends itself to elevating every piece of work he touches. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Sil. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I kind of butchered a lot of that, bro, but like, that's fire. I really like how you purposely put a lot of words that you knew I couldn't say. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome. Very good submission. Eric's definitely a producer who like, bro, I honestly, I'll let you know now to spoil it. I don't have an answer for this because I couldn't pick one who always makes me like head turn, bro. Like Jabari's production on Miles Per Hour was just so crazy that I didn't expect something like that. I mean, you kind of could have after Screwy, that was showing his ability to innovate. So I was expecting harder, not necessarily like R&B dark trap from Jabari, but I wasn't expecting League of Problem Solvers, bro. Like I wasn't expecting something like that. So I turned my head at that, and then the Very Bad People with Sorrowbringer just absolutely knocked, like even still when I hear a lot of those instrumentals, I'm just like, yo, what? And then even going back to like Mud, which I believe was a very heavily produced by Eric Godlow tape. It might all be produced by him. Um, it's just crazy because there's so many things that come from Eric nowadays that wasn't coming from Eric on the Dream Hopping tapes. So it still made me turn my head there, bro. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah. See, I was thinking about Jabari, but then I was thinking a lot about the ways Eric manages to elevate album storytelling as an art form. Yeah, dead ass, bro. Dead ass. This was a W answer. This was, yeah, seriously. They do work so well together. They have chemistry together that's like undeniable. Um, Great answer, bro. Great answer. Sorry for spoiling that I don't have an answer, guys. I don't know who the submission is from because the bot's anonymous. So if this is yours, say it in the chat, please, if you want to be known. On the real, the only producer that has most consistently made me stop and rewind is definitely Helog. Helog? How do you say that? How do you say this, bro? Is it Helog? Helog? Because I know his name's Logan. Hey Logan. Okay, Helog. Helog? Okay. It's definitely Helog. From the very first few seconds I heard a song of his for the first time, song Thanks, literally just as I woke up and opened my eyes, it was playing off SoundCloud autoplay and I instantly jumped out of bed to figure out what this was. Initially, the intrigue was by the vocals, but that truly shifted so much as Helog made more music over the years. I'm not sure I have the vocabulary to speak on the types of production styles he attempts, but it always feels very unique and I literally enjoy all of it. Shout out to Heber, bro. Great submission. I need to look more into Halog. I've only seen a little bit. I've heard some songs that he's done, I believe with I'm Geist and High Wraith, I think are their names. I don't know how to say High Wraith. I hope I'm saying your name right, bro, because I know you might see this one day because we're in contact a little bit or have been in contact. So hopefully I didn't butcher it, but I know that Halog has a huge like cult following fan base. It's more of a hyper poppy scene that I didn't really get around to until more recently with Kennedy. He's really helping me break into the hyper pop stuff. But this is a phenomenal submission, and it shows you that the diversity of the music that we listen to, because that's kind of on one end of this, and Eric's on one end, and then Jabari's on another end. So thank you for the submission, bro. Halo has some great songs, to be honest. Yeah, he does. I've heard some of the music for sure. Very good. So this is Sewer Prophet's submission for this week. Um, I'll start by admitting I'm not the one guy. I'll start by admitting that I'm that one guy that honestly doesn't pay much attention to the producers other than their cool tags. I know, but to me the lyrics and overall vibe of the song as a whole is what draws me in rather than the individual instruments and decisions that go into producing fire. He low-key answered this week's question. Um, Although I will say the decision producers make to add pauses in the music gets me moist every single time. Oh, why'd he say that? Why'd I say that? Oh my god. Oh nah. Um, it's an indescribable feeling. The best example of this being 11 by Halog. Hebert. What? Heavenly. Anyway, to answer the question, which underground producer makes me stop and rewind every time, I would have to say Eric, just based on how many of his Miles productions are in my playlists. Plus, come on, Eric, look at me. You know it's about to be super fire. Sewer Prophet. You're very right. You're very correct. Um, as soon as I hear Eric look at me, whether it has that Eric look at me, like whether it's delayed or not, I know it's about to be stupid fire, bro. Like, so you're right. You're right. That's a good way to put it. Two submissions about Halo so far, bro. I guess I gotta tap more in, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like, yeah, I gotta tap more in because that's interesting. Two, yeah. Eric looking at me with laser beam eyes. Oh, Sam, yo, Sam H. I was talking about producers with my partner the other day because I finally got him to listen to some Kennedy XOXO, and of course he's hooked. Yo, same. I listened to him for the first time before the last Allentown show. Absolutely, like I've been head over heels as a fan for it. And he said Noah made this, aka Noah Thomas, may be his new favorite producer. If chat doesn't know, he works with Kennedy and Garden a lot and has a super distinct style. Beyond that, we're both super into all of Sewer's tracks with Yunny Golds and are excited to see what they cook up next. For me personally, I've always had a soft spot for Brandwin because of how special of a project Feathers and Glue was for me. Valid. Brandwin snapped, as well as some of the Brandwin produced Sewerperson singles being some of his best work to date, such as Words from the Dying, Mutilate, Crusher, and Who the Fuck. Yo. Wow. Facts. Facts. Um, Words from the Dying, amazing. Mutilate, amazing. Crusher, didn't listen to that as much. It is on my liked songs on SoundCloud, so when I listen to it, like on shuffle, it comes on sometimes. But Who TF is like one of my favorite Sewer songs that came out that year, bro. Like, honestly, this was great. This was great. Thank you all who dropped a Discord submission. We're gonna move to the Instagram post because I also posted it on Instagram and I got a couple submissions on here. The first one talks about Between the Veins and I, who, if you're active in Sewer Chord, I found a song from like 2 months ago. I think it's 5 a.m. Departure that I absolutely lost my brain. Like, I was just like, who is this? Does he still make music? Like, I want to interview this guy, you know? I saw a couple Reddit things. Don't want to speak on drama right here. But unfortunately, bro stopped making music, I'm pretty sure, to focus on real life. And I took not a deep dive into his music, but I found quite a few songs that I really enjoy. So Between the Veins and I has some crazy lyrics and he uses multiple voices as Sewer does. So I responded to him. I just found their music like a month or two ago. Didn't they stop with that Alias? One song had me in a trance all night after hearing it. So much talent. And we talked about, you know, secret sauce. I'm not going to talk about leaks or anything. I don't know if that's a leak, but you guys can see what was said there. So Between the Veins and I agree. I don't know if he produces, but whatever. that's an artist, that's a producer who makes my head turn no matter what, you know. Um, I see people answering this week's question of the week. Can you please drop that in a comment under the video afterwards so I can read it back next week? Or drop it in the Discord just so I can read it back next week. We're doing the submissions for last week. Thanks, guys. Awesome. I want to have something to talk about next week too, so I appreciate that. No, not my bad. Not my bad. You guys are all good. I promise. I appreciate you guys for even talking in the chat or anything. I just don't want to like push stuff back, you know, because I have a 10-page script for tonight. So, anyways, second Instagram submission is Happy Kubrick, which is 99 Nights. I really fuck with my boy Wayside. Bro, Wayside is so fire. Every time I tune into Mel's stream on Mondays, Mel Maj Mondays, send your music if you don't. If you don't know about Mel Maj, go look him up. I interviewed him at home base. Great guy, amazing mind when it comes to analysis of music. Hears something for 10 seconds and can give you a paragraph or an essay about how he feels about it, and he's an even better person. Mel Maj is a great dude. So every time I tune into Mel's stream, there's always 5 Wayside songs or Wayside production credits, and it's absolutely insane. Dude never stops working. Works with plenty of people who watch the podcast, who are in the community. Great guy. So I agree. Wayside's a great producer. Rodbert said Never Forever and Z-Tope, which Vane's made song with, are my fave. So I don't know about either of those names, but I want to check into them. If you have songs that you recommend from either of them, send them to me, please. I might not see it if you drop it in the podcast chat, so the best way to get it to me is going to be to DM the page, DM my personal Instagram, or send it to me on Discord. But if you want to send some suggestions from those producers, bro, go right ahead. I want to learn more about the scene, about people who I don't know about. That's pretty much the whole reason I started this podcast, is to give people the platform, and for me to learn more too, because there's corners of the scene that I haven't even explored yet. Moving on, Ace White Roses said, I revisit Days to Waste all the time. His vocal range is fucking insane. Compare People Always Make Shit Fucking Worse to Lilac, and it holds up when he plays live too. Does almost everything solo. I feel like he deserves a lot more recognition than he gets. I honestly don't know that name either, but if it's getting a comment saying that you revisit it all the time, I have to go visit it at least once. You know, I think it's only right if I do that. So everybody that you guys are commenting that I don't know yet, I am going to look into, I promise, because I want to know more. An episode might come of that, bro. You have no idea what might happen. Moving on, the homie Cullen. Yo, Zombie in the chat. Shout out to you, bro. Aquafina, you're in here. Yo, shout out Aqua. Carter, you're in here, bro. Padillac, Jessica. Love y'all, bro. For real. Sil. Who's in the Discord? Let me do a Discord roll call. Lil Knight, Rain, Heber, Lust, Irami, Sil. Love you guys. Thank you all for coming through. Honestly, I appreciate it. Every time y'all show up. I appreciate it. But moving on. Cullen's submission. We got, I think for me, there are 3 particularly. Grief, for obvious reasons. I know Grief. You have to know Grief. That's a legend. Elijah Heaps and Dylan Ross / Ross Dilliams. Shitty dude, but a great prod. So I don't know about 2 of those people, Elijah and Dylan. Send me a DM, bro, with songs that both of those produced, please. I wanna listen to them. And then the last submission is a homie who's in the chat right now. Shout out to you, Carter. Produced by Carter. This dude, talented. Done a couple shows recently, I'm pretty sure. Did your second show happen? I seen that you've been posting and promoting, bro. I saw pictures and stuff from the first show. You look like you're killing it, man. So keep up the great work, bro. I love to see artists band together, and whether you're traveling to the shows or it's something that you as friends are putting together, bro, I'd really like to see that actual like in-person stuff. So keep it up. I hear your name a lot. I see it on Mel's stream when I tune in on Mondays. Awesome, bro. Polearm, Suffer Plenty, and more this past Sunday. Yo, fire, bro. Fire. Polearm, that's a heavy name, bro. Like, you're performing with Polearm, bro. Like, that's a goat. That's a goat, Carter. Good shit, bro. Good shit. Congratulations. I hope more shows are coming for you and the fam, bro. Yeah, bro, honestly. But so that's all the submissions I have for this week. I don't want to hold up too much before getting into this other script that I got. So, without further ado, let's pivot back to the topic of the night. Actually, before that, let's remind people the question of the week for this week. Question of the week for this week, which you can use /confess in any Discord channel. You can comment it on this video and I'll see it afterwards. Please comment it. Don't say it in the chat. So it'll have to be on the VOD afterwards, or comment it on the IG post that I will be making tomorrow that has the question of the week. Just make sure you just get it to me somehow. I wanna say all of your guys' submissions. The question of this week is going to be, what makes an underground track instantly recognizable? The voice, the beat, or the feeling? /confess in any channel in the Discord that's right here. Send it to this Instagram. Comment on the question of the week post that's coming tomorrow. You can also comment on YouTube because I'll post it on YouTube as well. Just get it over to me. All right, that's enough yapping. Confession, distance, and return. Here's my promise. By the time we're done with tonight, you'll be able to hear a new drop and say, there's the confession, there's the distance, and there's the return. And you'll feel why it hits without needing any vocabulary beyond those 3 words. I did a little bit of studying for this episode to find common themes, more specifically in all of the breakdowns that we've done. Read through transcripts, kind of drove myself crazy because I had so many things that I could pin as common themes, but I had to narrow it down to just 3 because I didn't want to talk for 3-4 hours about elements of music. So in my studies, I found 3 concrete examples, and I'm grounding this episode with those 3 songs. There are 3 songs that we've done lyric breakdowns on in this podcast, and if you haven't seen all of the solo deep dives, the Pain to Poetry series, Pain, all of them, Syl and Heber's ones where they went back to back, go watch those after this, because if this doesn't make sense, it will after you watch those breakdowns. And I promise you, because in Syl and Heber's breakdown, all 3 of us in the second one had notes on this, and I'm kind of drawing from my breakdowns of this, but Syl changes the way that my brain chemistry works when I go back and listen to some of the stuff that we've posted on this channel, because he's so critical and in depth with the everything. So anyways, 3 songs that I'm going to ground this episode with is Frost on My Grave for confession, Outback Outro for distance, and Bullet Dodger for return. I'm not going to be playing the songs, so you won't hear any clips. I don't think I'm going to be saying any specific lyrics unless they pop into my mind. I'm just going to describe the moments in the song so your memory does the work. And I feel like it's better that way because it might feel like you discover it all over again or in a different light. So like I said, if you haven't watched Pain to Poetry or my solo deep dives, go do that now. If you're watching after the live, don't leave my live, guys, I swear, please. But just keep that in mind, everything we said in those episodes when I'm talking about this. And mind you, This is from my point of view. Like I said, I'm not playing clips. I'm not going to run polls. I'm going to try to read chat as much, but I have a 10-page script. So I'm going to tell you where these three moves live within these songs that you already know. So if you're brand new, don't stress. I'm going to describe feelings, not the jargon in the lyrics. Think of this like sitting in a passenger seat while I point out the turns. The goal isn't homework. The goal is recognition. Pay attention to the hand gestures. He said critical, but he actually just means I'm clinically insane. Serenity's bedtime, school in the morning. Have a good night, fam. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate that. See you next time. And like I said before, so this is all from my point of view. So if I say something that you disagree with, good. Seriously, this scene and this material is only going to get better if we disagree and argue it with love. So if you disagree with something I'm saying, drop it in the Discord and we'll talk about it after I'm done with the live. I'm going to chill around for a little bit afterwards if anybody has any other analogies or can build on mine. After I stop the live, I will chill in the Discord for a bit so we can talk about it. Aqua said, I disagree with you disagreeing. Can't be having. I love you, bro. That was hilarious. He said none of that. Yo, for real, bro. Chat already getting me off. All right. So let's start. I'm going to start with confession. First on the list. So, in my eyes, confession is the moment where a song stops acting like a statue and tells you the part that most people try to hide. I said off topic, not off, bro. Chill. Yo, this is on YouTube, guys. So, confession is rarely loud. It's usually small and specific. It's not, I'm hurt, but it's the kind of detail that only happens and comes in one room on one night. I'm not saying with one person because I was going to say that, but y'all are about to spin it. Oh, I said it anyways. It's the only detail. It's the kind of detail that only comes in the right situation. How about that? When the confession arrives, it changes how you hear everything that came before it and everything that follows. I'm about to stop reading the Discord chat, bro. In our corner of the scene, this little niche corner, I found that confession shows up in a few recognizable ways. So the first is specific detail. The verse is moving, and then a single image drops, like an item on the table, the weather outside, or something somebody said that sounded like a joke until it wasn't. And then suddenly the air in the song gets heavier by 5 degrees, but the chords didn't change, just the truth did. The second is the cost of the win. That's when the song admits what success or survival took from you. It's not a humble brag, it's the receipt. There's fewer friends, a phone that feels heavier when it lights up, or you waking up with a knot you didn't have before the show. When a record owns the price tag, the flexes feel earned and the sad parts feel honest instead of staged and written. The third is the quiet admission. It's the line that slips by in a softer tone and you almost miss it until you realize everything after it is reacting to what was said in that half whisper. And quiet admissions are the sticky ones. They're the ones that people DM each other at 2 a.m. They're the ones that people hear for the first time and type up a 2-page Reddit post at 4 a.m. crying. The fourth is the mirror turn. That's when the narrator stops pointing outwards and points back at themselves. Like, yes, that hurt, but here's how I even made it worse. It's brave, but in this scene, in this corner of the underground where we are, it's very common. And that's why these records feel lived in instead of performative. So, where does confession sit structurally? In my studies, I found three most common placements. It's not always like this. First, usually, what I found to be the most common, early, verse 1 or the chorus. It hits fast, it sets the stake, and it lets the song kind of orbit around it. Second is late in verse 1 or inside verse 2. Sewer lets the hallway get built first and then opens the door. You feel the confession coming, and when it lands, and the hook has gravity. Third, he uses the hook or the chorus as a confession. The chorus is the sentence that you don't necessarily want to sing out loud, which is exactly why it stays with you and hits so hard. Now, Frost on My Grave is a clean doorway. Early in the track, there's a line that's not about bravado or loudness. It's the crack that tells you where the light is coming from. And once that line arrives, the rest of the verse feels like fallout. And that's textbook early confession. What's wild is how little it takes. You don't need a plot twist. You don't need one true thing. That's why these songs travel, because a stranger can hear one specific detail and believe everything around it. The belief is the entire engine. That's why this music matters. So, if I'm honest, this confession thing was my whole entry point to this lane. I didn't come here for enhanced vocabulary or lo-fi sounds. I came here because I heard one tiny detail inside of Make Believe that was said like it costed something. And it reminded me of a conversation that I had been avoiding. So confession has that effect. You hear someone else say the real part, and it buys you 30 seconds of courage with your own stuff. That's why these records stick after midnight. And because we've done lyric breakdowns together, you've seen it on the page in front of you. Go back if you didn't see it, because it's right there, I promise. That microscopic image or the self-aim line carries more weight than 10 clever flips. It doesn't mean clever doesn't belong. It just means that clever is seasoning, confession is the meal. Community-wise, you'll notice what happens in a room when a confession lands. You've seen it in listening parties. You've seen it in these lyric breakdowns that we've done in the Pain to Poetry series. When Heber and Sil were going back to back on these, we saw it in real time. People stopped typing. The chat slows down. Fire emojis disappear. And then after the chat shows back up, there's paragraphs instead of one-liners. There's a reason for that. Confession pulls us out of performance mode and into witness mode because your body recognizes that this part matters before your brain does. I'm telling you, we've seen this in real time. So for creators listening, while you bounce stems, write the line that you don't want to. Then clear a little runway for it. 1 bar, 2 beats, whatever it takes. I promise you that you'll need fewer words and you'll get more impact. Confession isn't volume, it's precision. The second theme, the second move, is distance. If confession's the reveal, then distance is the echo that carries it. Distance is the breath that lets the truth land. It's restraint. It's the half bar where the song steps back so your body and soul can take a step forward. I found that you'll spot distance in 3 very, 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 very most common ways. First is pacing distance. Right before the hook, the song simplifies. Maybe one element drops out, or maybe the drums loosen their grip, and maybe everything just widens for a beat. How many varies was that? Is that going to be on the test? Nobody's getting tested on this. This is just my theory of how Sewerperson constructs songs. That was funny though. Urban said, "We have constructed worlds from these stanzas, lines, bars, etc. It's incredible how we can extrapolate a work and add further dimension with each of our interpretations." Straight up. It's crazy that I can make... So we all know that there's music theory, but it's crazy that I can make an episode dedicated to sewer music theory. Because these, I think, are the 3 elements that he puts into 90. I said earlier, like 75 to 80% of his music, but I'm upping it to 90. I believe that these themes live within, like, these are the core themes for his music. Anyways, even the drums loosen the grip, or maybe everything just widens for a beat. That's not emptiness, it's a runway. When the downbeat hits, you feel it instead of just hearing it. The second way you may hear distance is vocal distance. The delivery softens, syllables stretch, and a word gets more space, more room to ring. I think that's the sonic version of eye contact. You've heard it in a lot of these records. The voice steps back for a little bit, and then suddenly the next bar feels like it carries twice the weight as before. The third is story distance. The writing literally names space with "I left," "I needed time," "I wasn't ready yet." Don't mistake it for hesitation. That's architecture. Without distance, confession crushes the mix. With distance, it lands and sticks. Outback Outro is a perfect example to pick apart for the distance. Near the end, right before the moment that you knew was coming, the song gives you just enough air to understand what that moment means. It's a tiny retreat, almost a flinch. And then the ending becomes inevitable. The power isn't in the lyrics necessarily, it's in the restraint of the production, it's in the pause. And you can hear echo versions of that move across a bunch of songs in this corner. It's a single held syllable. It's one less ad lib than you expected. It's a pad that dips for exactly 1.5 beats. Small choices that hold huge weight. It's the difference between a hook that shows up and a hook that lands and stays with people. If you zoom out to the year that we've had, distance is also how this community functions. We talk about heavy stuff, but we also leave room for people to arrive late. That's distance as our culture. The breath is the invitation. The week break in between these podcasts is the invitation. Nobody feels chased. They feel welcomed. And the crazy part is that you can hear the habit inside of the songs. There's the same people with the same instinct to make room. Now, if you were around for my scene builder episodes, this was the habit that kept showing up from many, many, many different people. Make room. It's not silence for its own sake. It's room with an intent. 1 bar breath before a decision. It's a half bar where you can hear your own heartbeat. You could change the drum kit or swap the synth patch and it would still feel like family because that pause is the same. So, for creators, for artists, for makers, here's a dead simple way to do distance tomorrow when you're working on your stuff. Strip one thing out before the big moment. A hat, a bell, a drum line, it doesn't matter. Or just say one less line than you wanted to. If your confession is in the last 4 bars of your verse, defend it with space. Give it a clean runway. Your chorus won't need to be louder to be heavier. We went through confession, we went through distance, and move 3 is return. Hang on, chat's cooking. Before I get to return, let me read the chat real quick. Oh my god, no. I'm way too far up. I'm seeing stuff that I... Core tenants, taking the sewer studies class for free. Yo, straight up, I love that we do that, honestly. Yo, shout out Al, bro. Yo, Al, I had the Fuji apple and ginger Red Bull today, bro. Why is this so good, bro? Why is it so good, bro? Tell me right now, why is this so good, Al? Like, what the hell? Sorry, bro. Yeah, so shout out to you for making it, bro. Dude, someone was in a podcast I saw the other day talking about how Drake has dropped any more. I don't even want to continue that, bro. Like, yeah, Drake's a fraud. He doesn't even make his own music. These are honestly his elements: confession, moonlighting as water, the times in which his honesty helps purify himself, and his own self-assessed absolution, distance under the guise of air, the ways in which his breath permeates the cracks between moments, between feelings, and between progress. Return is the totem of earth, both the retreating into comfort and the feeling of being one with the known, but also the reanimation of self and recreating home. All elements of life, but these are his defining ones. Yo. Damn. Episode's over. So So summed it up for us. That's fire. So thanks for dropping that. That really is sweet, bro. Sweet. I'm really happy that I don't sound crazy yapping about all this, bro, because I really tried to like pick apart sewer music theory, and I'm trying to find the most common themes. And that's exactly what this episode's about. It's about the recognizable elements of Sewerperson's music and what makes them so special. So I'm very happy that everybody's getting it, that Sill's contributing, that the chat's having fun with this, bro. Like, I'm having fun with y'all. I like doing this. So, move 3. We went through confession. We went through distance. If you missed it and you're just showing up right now, you'll be able to see in the VOD afterwards because I post all of the lives. Shout out to my boy Bank who just popped in here. Skirt, you know the vibes, bro. We lit this weekend. If you follow me on Instagram, you know, man. We lit this weekend. Anyways, so move 3 is return. Return is that familiar loop. It's that song, the part of the song where it comes back to something that it introduced earlier, but now it means more and holds more weight than before. Sometimes the return is healthy, and sometimes it's relapse disguised in better lighting. Either way, it closes the circuit and brings it all full circle. I believe that you'll hear return in 3 patterns. Pattern 1 is the motif return. It's a phrase or a melodic shape or a tiny image from the beginning that reappears near to the end. It's the same words with a new weight. It's like the chorus came home with a story that you didn't know that it was carrying. Pattern 2 is the circle decision. By the last section, the narrator either goes back or refuses to, but both are returns. One's a return to the situation, and one's a return to themselves. You can hear it when a line from earlier comes back with a different coat. Warmer, colder, resigned, defiant. That shift is where listeners exhale and they're like, holy shit. Pattern 3 is the community loop. This corner keeps leaning on the same collaborators because they know how to carry a feeling forward without over explaining it. That's why so many of us love Eric Godlow Productions. That's why a feature shows up and it feels like a chapter, not a cameo. It's because the address stays the same even when the furniture moves. So, one of my favorite songs, Bullet Dodger. The opening section plants a simple stance. You know exactly where Miles is at. And then the verses add details and consequence, and it gives the world sharper edges. And the choices feel heavier. But when that closing refrain arrives and the chorus comes back, it returns to that original stance, but there's that gritty edge now. It's the same idea that you recognize, but a completely different weight in the chest. And the repeat is the point. That's return as a sharpened refrain. Not necessarily louder, even though the lyrics are more, in this case, emphasized. It's truer because the walk the song took to get back to the return. So, on the sound side, returns often small. You bring back the element that you muted before the hook. You repeat the hook with one harmony that you didn't have the first time. You restate the opener line in the outro. Not bigger, truer. When a record does that, the last 30 seconds feel like a decision, not a repeat. Return explains a lot of what people call the familiar feeling with these drops. When I say familiar, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't mean like recycled. I mean resolved. Your brain hears the loop close and your body says, we can go home now, it's over. And sometimes home is messy on purpose. Return can be a surrender. I'm back where I said I wouldn't be. Return can also be a boundary. I'm not stepping back inside. Either way, that loop closes, and that closure is why you replay it at 1 a.m. So for artists, try this on your next idea. Bring back one thing from the beginning at the end. The first phrase, the first drum line, first idea. But add a twist with color. You'll feel the gravity just snap it into place on the track. What are you guys talking about in the chat, bro? Yo, Rami posted the whole Bullet Dodger lyrics. Straight up though, so guys in the chat who can see the last of those lyrics, if you remember the song, when he comes in, Bullet Dodger, if they stake me and paint me auburn, then we all burn. It's not necessarily louder, even though he's screaming the lyrics. It's the return from before. That's why it hits so hard. I know for the first time when I heard that song, at that moment, I was like, holy crap. You know, it's completely different than before. You got chats going, yeah, bro, I'm live on a Discord stage right now. That's the podcast chat in the gray box in the lower right, and then also the YouTube chat. If you are in the Discord and you don't have the YouTube open, I'm not gonna call you fake, but you should hop over to the YouTube and give me a little more engagement, guys. But anyways, artists, do what I just said on your next track, and you'll feel everything just snap it into place. So, I'm going to string this all together. Confession confession sets the landscape. It lays out the truth. Distance gives it air, and return brings it home. That is the sewer sequence. Confession, distance, return. 3 moves. Any order technically possible, but this is the order that it lands the cleanest and that I've found to be most common, especially in the 3 examples that I used. Walk it like a story. A track starts late at night in a small room. Quiet, steady. Verse 1 is conversational until a single concrete detail drops. That's the confession. And instead of stacking more and more words on top of it, the song backs up half of a step. That's setting the distance. And then the hook comes in and repeats a simple idea that you heard in the first lines. But it carries the weight of the confession now. That's the return. Same chords with a brand new meaning. You feel it before you can explain it. Or flip it. The first verse can be dense. The energy's climbing, and your ear knows a big section is coming. Half of a bar disappears. That's the distance. Then the hook lands. We live with it for a little while. But in the outro, the opening line returns, and it's colored by everything in between. That's the return, carrying the confession backwards through time. 3 moves, 1 shape. I learned how to hear the sequence by messing up the order. Like I said earlier, I was rewatching parts of Sill's deep dives, and a word that I said held X significance. Sill's like, I didn't even have a breakdown for that word, for that line, because I don't think that it matters that much. I took myself into third person view for this, because I used to stack lines where I should have left the breath. First time I took 1 bar away, the chorus got heavier without getting louder. And that's when this all clicked for me. That's when I settled on these 3 moves. Because it's not about doing more. It was about doing less at the right moment. This is also why people swear the answer to recognizability is the feeling. I feel like they're right. I'm kind of giving my answer away for the question of the week, but I feel like they're right. But the feeling isn't mystical. It's the body recognizing a shape that it just learned. Say it. Confession. Breathe. Distance. And come back. Return. Swap the drums, swap the synths, swap the co-star. You keep the shape, and the feeling stays. That's why songs across the many eras that we've experienced with Sewerperson feel like they live in the same house. We've done producer spotlights and lyric breakdowns for months. And the connective tissue isn't a snare sample or a plugin. It's that the sequence keeps happening on purpose. That's the home address. So, I want to give y'all 3 things to carry into this next 7 days until next podcast. Or we can talk about it right after. For listeners, find the confession. What's the most specific image or the truest admission in the song? That's the hinge that we grab onto. Second, spot the distance. Where does the track step back right before the big moment? That's the breath. Third, name the return. What comes back at the end, and how did the meaning change? For artists, write the sequence that scares you a little. An admission. A sentence that you don't want to say out loud. Make it precise. Not overbearing, not loud. That's your confession. Second, remove one element before your big section. Hats, drum pads, ad-libs, anything. Create distance. Make some room. Third, bring back one thing from the beginning with a twist in the last section. That's your return. If you're an artist and you do these things, I believe that people will start recognizing your material more often without having to read the title. And if you want to practice this as a community, here's a tiny assignment. If you're in the chat right now, pick any track from the orbit. Of course, it's not going to work with every single track. Like, there's some fun ones like Autopsy or Onyx. Don't pick those. Post the track in the podcast chat in Discord with 3 timestamps that you feel represent confession, distance, and return. 1 line each. Explain why you chose them and how you feel it represents that. Keep it simple. And remember that the point of this isn't to win an argument. The point of this is to hear the shape together, to dissect this music together, to come to a common understanding of how this music was made. If you disagree with me on anything that I've said relating to the 3 moves that make up the major elements to Sewerperson's music, drop it in the chat. Seriously, let's talk about it. I don't want this to just be me, this is how I feel, this is how Sil feels, this is how Heber feels. Drop a comment, drop a chat in the live, drop a chat in the podcast chat any day of the week. Doesn't have to be just during the live podcast. I will see it. So post your songs, label the confession, the distance, and the return with 1 line explaining why you chose them. 1 line each. I previously stated the question of the week. What makes an underground track instantly recognizable? The voice, the beat, or the feeling? If you listened to the last episode, which was Scene Builders Part 2, and the majority of this, you know where I sit. Here's my answer for y'all. It's the feeling. And I defined the feeling as confession, distance, and return. If you're team voice or team beat, tell me which part of the sequence they're carrying in your example. Is the voice delivering the confession? Is the pocket creating the distance? Is the return riding a bass pattern that you'd know with your eyes closed? Drop a time-stamped example using /confess in any channel of this Discord. Comment on the question of the week post that'll be on this Instagram, or send a DM to that Instagram, or comment on this after it goes on YouTube. Let's talk about it, and I'll read all of these back next episode. I ain't gonna lie, I don't have much more for the live. That's what I believe to be the sewer sequence. Anchored to 3 guideposts: Frost on My Grave for confession, Outback Outro for distance, and Bullet Dodger for return. It's not a formula to cage the music. It's just a lens that lets you hear what's already there. The next time you press play and your chest does that little half drop in the first minute, try asking yourself these 3 questions in order. What got confessed? Where was the breath? And what returned in the end? If you can answer those, you're not listening to a song. You're watching a story fold itself into shape. For the artists in the room, you do not need to get louder to get heavier. You need one true line, the courage to give it air, and the discipline to circle back with intention. Try it 3 songs in a row, and you'll have a lane, even if you never touch a new preset. So, I'm at the end of what I have wrote. I think these 3 themes are the building blocks for Sewerperson's music, the sewer sequence. And I believe that they exist in 90% of Sewerperson's music, whether you can go all the way back to even Nine Tails days. I should have been saying Miles music, period, because it's not just Sewerperson that he used the strategy in. All of the examples were from stuff that we did breakdowns on before. If you haven't checked out any of those breakdowns, go check them out. It's the from pain to poetry, pain from the past and poetry in the present with Heber and Sill, and I did a solo deep dive episode by myself, which I believe was episode 8. I don't know. It's been quite a man. We're on episode 18, and I can't remember the numbers anymore. You know, if you disagree with anything that I said, like I said, drop a /confess, drop a chat in the Discord. I'll be watching the chat for a little bit after this. I'll be probably live on the stage for a little bit after this too. I want to talk to y'all. I want to pick your brain on this. Maybe you don't disagree. Maybe you just think that I nailed it. I hit the nail right on the head, and there's no conversation to be had. There is a conversation to be had. Let's talk about different songs that we haven't broken down yet. Maybe you're going to lead me into wanting to do a full breakdown on one of these songs. Let's get, let's get interactive, guys. I want as many submissions for episode 19 as possible. I left a lot of room in episode 19 for these submissions because I was hoping that the community would want to either pick apart different songs and notice the confession, the distance, and the return. Or, I want y'all's input. I need y'all's input. So, without holding you guys for too long, this was a pretty short episode. I did just yap for about 40 minutes, which was longer than I actually expected this to last. I thought my little spiel was only going to last half an hour, so 40 minutes isn't bad, guys. I want to... Wait, Dev, the post. Oh, shit. Oh, Sill, bro, I'm an L host, bro. I am an L host. Let me pull up. Hang on. Sill went crazy today, guys. Clinically insane, like I was saying earlier, right? Let's switch this back. Google Chrome. Sill came up with this perfect idea. This is an amazing idea. I'm going to read the TLDR. I'm not going to read the whole post. I'm going to drop a link to the Reddit in the pinned comment of this YouTube video and in the description. I'll drop it in both. In the future, we're hoping to do a community voices episode, another one like before, where basically you build on theories for the other lands. TLDR, we want you to submit your own short story sets within the Otherlands universe in the way you see it. In regards to submissions, important stuff is at the top of the important details section. You can read through the post and give us submissions for this. Scylla's absolutely cooking. All right. Scylla is absolutely cooking for this, and I'm very excited to see where he takes this. I'm letting Syl run that episode. As always, I'll be here for the live and running it. But this is Syl, and I believe Heber's going to help out too. This is going to be their episode. Hopefully, I get them back before that. But the next major episode that we'll have is going to be community voices with these other land theories. I see chat saying some things. Let's see what chat's saying before I say goodbye to y'all. You should definitely read the whole post through. Yeah, please. Read the whole post. I'm not doing it. I did it earlier, and that's too much for me to read right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to do that on the live. The comment, the pinned comment, and the description will have a link to this so you guys can see this and contribute. Discord quality, yes. Yo, that's why y'all should be over on YouTube, bro. That's why I only post the YouTube links now. It's way better over on YouTube, bro. The quality of my microphone, everything is so much better, bro. It's crazy. Crazy. Wait, so we get to make our own stories in the world of the other lands? Yes, yes. It's basically building on last week, 2 week ago's question of the week. Still came up with this fantastic idea in our group chat, and I was like, go for it, bro. You lead it, literally. I wasn't trying to just be like, oh, I don't want to do it. Since he came up with the idea, I want him to dive full, head first. Yo, Trexture, what's the convo tonight? The convo tonight is the sewer sequence: confession, distance, and return. I had already gone through it all, but the live is going to be posted on YouTube right after I press this go live button and end the broadcast. So you're free to watch it back on your own time, and definitely send me the song that you dropped in my DMs. I follow you, so it shouldn't be a problem. Send that to my DMs and I got you. I'll listen to it, bro. Let's see. YouTube is delayed compared to Discord stream by 1 second. Discord is more live. But what happens when I start not being on a podcast stage, if that ever happens? Join the YouTube. I need the engagement. Anyways. Community voices. That Reddit post is going to be linked. I need y'all on this one. Just like we went through before and I asked for y'all submissions, I'm going to post a call to action on all of the social medias about the other land stories and how Syl wants to do an episode for it. Syl, Heber, and I will perfectly plan this down. We'll let you know the date that we want to do the episode. So if you're interested in tuning in and hearing your story read live, we'll do that. It's going to be its whole own episode, and we'll do even more than one episode if we need to. I'm trying to keep the content around 2 hours ish long, max 2.5, just so the algorithm doesn't push us out like it always does. Much love to everybody who wants to contribute. Much love to everybody who has contributed, even if you're sitting in the live and not chatting, none of that, bro. I appreciate everybody for being here, for real. With that being said, I just want to sincerely say thank you again. Not even thank you for just supporting the podcast. I want to say thank you for even thinking about this music on your own time in our weird little corner of the underground. And thank you for giving these conversations a reason to exist. If you want to talk about your theory on the recognizable elements of Sewer's music, I'm going to be lurking in the Discord for quite some time after this. But if not, I hope to see you all next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The question of the week for next week, let me find it real quick before I get out of here. Question for the week is, what makes an underground track instantly recognizable? The voice, the beat, or the feeling? Drop a comment on this YouTube video afterwards with your answer. Drop a comment on the Instagram post that's going to have the question of the week, or use /confess in the Discord that's right in the middle of the screen. Any channel. I'm going to read all of the submissions next week, and I hope to have some good ones, so put your heart into them, please. Use specific examples. Doesn't just have to be Sewerperson's music. Any underground artist, guys. Put me on, bro. Put me on. This was episode 18 of Conversations in the Sewer. This is the podcast that's from the people who built the community for those who live in it. I sincerely enjoy all of the time that I spend to write my scripts, to research the music, to go live and talk to y'all for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 4.5 hours if it's with Sil. I love where we're going with this, and I hope this helps Sewer get the true light that he deserves. Conversations in the Sewer, the podcast from the people who built the community for those who live in it. Hope everybody has a good night. This is Lovesick, our theme song.
No money, yeah. 2 ounce perfect anymore, it's too muddy. She my Snow White, as she lining up dummies. Yes, all night up until it gets sunny. I'll be alright with this potion in my tummy, yeah. This is my shit, you cannot take it from me. I get toxic when it comes to how I'm loving you. You know, love's a mosh pit, and I think I'm seeing red. I'll be honest, I can't get you on my head. I know you know that feeling, you know that feeling. Know you love that feeling. You know, baby, I can break you in good. I said, don't you try, but you know I wish you would. Cause I can show you things you never heard before I told you. I can give
Love y'all. Peace. Time to go study underground music for the question. Yo, shout out to you, bro. Thank you.
Take you to the 6 side, get you online. Girl, if you on my side, I'll show you the bright side. Miami and high tide, we'll just die. I can't wait to fuck ya, I can't wait to crush ya. Let me roll this blunt up, then we go die. When I needed me some help, so fuck it, I don't need them, I can do this shit myself. And I got plenty drugs that I can finish by myself. That's the way it go, but you just like be the one I lean on. Come through tonight and be the one I sweet on. I would've waited forever for you. I'd do whatever you wanted me to do.
What'd he say, y'all? Before I get out of here, I know I said it 4, 5, 6, 9 times in this episode. I love y'all and thank y'all for everything. Seriously, I'm gonna get out of here. Little short episode tonight. Hopefully it's a nice little relax and break from the long form episodes. We'll be back to those deep dives and stuff sooner than you know. I promise you. Live next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/@conversations/@convos in the sewer. I almost said the old @ we changed the @ to @convos in the sewer. So shout out to y'all for coming through every single night. Shout out to Bank. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Noah, Al, Padillac, I wear Heelys, said W. I sharp my pants. Okay, yeah, okay, cool, dude. Me too. Who's in the Discord still, bruh? Who's in the Discord? I want to shout y'all out. Lil Knight, Al, Rain, Sil, Heber, Night Owl, Ramey. Shout out to y'all, bro. Honestly, I fucking love doing this shit. It's so much fun, bro. I can't wait to announce next podcast. It's the last song. It's called Blue by Sewerperson and produced by Jabari on the beat off of the Nightmare album. It's a hype song to end off the podcast. Hope y'all have a good night.
Everything I ever said to myself in my head, it don't came true. Waking up, I want to do it. I
Pop me a perk and I'm brand new.
30 on 30 on 30. I think that my skin finna turn blue.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with the pressure. This shit happened quickly on 2-2.
Okay.
Wake up.
Everything I
Have a good night, guys.
in my head, it don't came true. Waking up, I want to do it. I pop me a perk and I'm brand new. 30 on 30 on 30. I think that my skin finna turn blue. Okay. I couldn't deal with the pressure. This shit happened quickly on 2-2. Drinking and smoke some cookie in here until I'm not able to move.
I ain't gonna lie. Al said underrated album. It didn't get the love it deserved. After the listening party, you're correct. But that was the biggest listening party that Sewercore ever had. There was like 400 people here for it. It was absolutely insane. I was not around back then. Yeah. That's the beauty of this.
Oh, you can easily be replaced. Right now, choppy on my face. I'm like cookie and orange and purple until I'm falling deep space. I'm trying to fuck you, I fucking dip it in bitch in a cup, get erased. I'm going crazy, crazy, crazy. I don't think I wanna drop it. I'm trying to push this all I can do it, and lately I started to deteriorate.
Yeah.
Everything I ever said to myself in my head, it don't came true. Waking up on my door, I pop me a perk, and I'm brand new. 30 on 30 on 30, I think my skin for the turn blue. I couldn't deal with the pressure, this shit I've been clicking on 2-2. Drinking and smoke some cookie in here until I cannot move. She wanna fuck me raw, but I want pussy, I want brain. So many girls so tight, they don't want connection, they want fame. So many girls so tight, they don't want connection, they want fame. Yeah.
Bye, YouTube.